Now, here's what I think is happening. In this video going viral, and in this piece that is spreading wildly, I think the White House is concerned that he is going to take on a status above the status that he already has. I think he could instantly become a leader of a movement that would be moving against the agenda of this administration to dismantle this country as we know it. And I think what's going on here is that the White House, in not wanting us or Dr. Basso to talk about the phone call from Obama and the visit to the White House, which will be happening shortly, that they're going to try and figure out a way to define him, Dr. Basso, before he is defined in the mainstream media. He's been defined on this program. People who have heard him, you just heard him. Is that not where we're at as a country right now? Millions of people descending upon Washington, D.C. to demand our country back, to demand fiscal responsibility, to say to our elected officials, we have a little thing called the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Don't tread on me. Taxation without representation. Secure our borders. Balance our budgets. Do what we tell you, not what you tell us you're going to do. And I think he's tapped into something, and the White House wants to define him. And when you go to the White House, which I did, you have to have a mini background check. You got to give your social security number, your legal name, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes they ask for fingerprints. They're going to do a mini background check just to make sure that you're, not a lunatron. But how deep is this FBI background check going to go on Dr. Bob Basso? What are they going to dig into? Are they going to find things where they're going to say, well, originally we had intended to invite Dr. Basso, but we found out that he had a parking ticket. Oh, he had a parking ticket and he had a speeding ticket. Obviously, he doesn't respect the law. Dr. Basso, by the way, is a writer, a producer, a director, a business consultant. People magazine called him America's #1 fun motivator. He has written 7 books. 2 of the titles I love. One is I Never Wanted to Set the World on Fire, but now that I'm 50, maybe it's a good idea. Another book, If BS Were Concrete, I'd Be Route 66. Now, when I look at this guy and I listen to this guy, how are they going to try and vilify him? Why does the White House want to make sure that they control all of the publicity? Because they can't afford to let this guy go even more viral than he is. 800-876-4123 is the number. Ryan in California, line 2. Ryan, thanks for holding. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Jerry, I just called to say don't back down. This is the essence of the First Amendment, and they're trying to squash you. And if anybody knows the slightest little bit about history, they'll remember Thomas Paine's book was what tipped the scales to the majority of Americans being in favor of revolution. And this guy has the capability of doing the very same thing right now, which is what we desperately need.
Right. I mean, we've got a lot of talk show hosts out there, a lot of TV pundits. We've got a lot of commentators. We've got a lot of writers and educators. But, as much as we do what we do, maybe this is that flashpoint where the White House just goes, oh, my God. Oh, my God, what happens if this guy's message really starts to resonate? Because it's not going to be just with one political party or one ethnicity or one religion. This is going to be where people come together and just say, my God, we have got to get control of our country back. And as Dr. Basso pointed out when he was on the program on Monday, Thomas Paine, credited with the Declaration of Independence. He was the guy who wrote the book Common Sense, who ignited a nation into a revolution. And I think the revolution word is frightening the hell out of this Congress and the Obama administration. Great points, Ryan. Thank you. Well, we have not been able to establish contact with Dr. Bob Basso, who is scheduled to be with us at this moment, and I understand the concerns that he has in having been called by President Obama directly. Obama telling Dr. Basso that the president was disturbed by the video where he is channeling Thomas Paine and calling for a second revolution to take back America. 7-8, Michael, welcome to the program.
Hi, Jerry. I'll tell you, I'm a retired federal agent of 25 years, and I worked for several federal law enforcement agencies, and this just shocks me that a president of the United States would try to intimidate a citizen by calling him back to the White House. There's only one goal in mind by the president when he comes back there, and that's he's going to intimidate this man into shutting up. And I think he ought to take the offer and go in there and just stay his ground with the president, and then report back to the country exactly the intimidation and the tactics that this president is going to use. Because you got to remember, this guy is from Chicago, and it's a thug mentality out there. And this is part of the whole community organizing. You destroy your enemy, and this is exactly what Obama and his crowd is going to do. They're going to try to lay a trip on him that he's inciting a riot or a revolution in this country, because if you listen to him, the man is saying, for Americans to take up and get your country back. Well, that's a revolution. And I'll tell you what, the federal government doesn't like to hear that. And
Michael, let me ask you this. You said work for a lot of federal agencies. I mean, how much digging are they doing on this guy right now?
You can bet that there are people in the White House. It hasn't gone over to the Attorney General's office because they're not going to keep a record of that. But Rahm Emanuel, who is of that mentality, they are starting to dig up dirt or anything they can find of this man to discredit him. I mean, good God, look what they did with Joe the plumber. I mean, for asking one simple question. And this man, you think about it, and this audio that he's done, he's fired up lots of people in this country to actually take a look and say, hey, things are going wrong here. And I can bet you people are calling their congressmen and senators and saying, hey, knock this crap off based on what this man has said. He is a threat to these people in D.C.
And he's a threat to the status quo, which they love so much. And am I right in assuming, Michael, that this is an attempt for them to have the time they need to define Dr. Basso before the country gets to know him?
Absolutely. They're going to try to discredit this man over something. I mean, go back again. Look what they did to Joe the plumber. I mean, they had agencies, public agencies that were looking up this man's history. They're going to try to destroy this man before he can get his message out to people. I mean, that's Chicago.
Let me ask you this. Dr. Basso is an award-winning news director for NBC, so he knows a little about how the news works and the news cycles work. I don't think, Michael, that with all of the horsepower that the Obama administration can throw at him, that he would be able to use talk radio or some television outlets as a way to try and undo what damage the Obama administration would do.
No, but he's getting the message out to millions of people, and they're going to try to stifle that. I mean, that's just plain and simple. I mean, why do you think they're inviting this guy back there? Not to have tea. They're going to try to.
A nice choice of words there, because he's talking about the next modern day Boston Tea Party. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate the comments. 800-876-4123 is the number. Brian in Michigan on line 10. Brian, you've been holding for a while. You have an interesting point about what just passed in the House.
Yeah, I was calling about the GIVE Act, which was H.R. 1388, and now I guess as of Tuesday, Senate is just looking into what's called the SERVE Act, kind of neat name, the Give and Serve Act.
Right.
It's carrying, looks like a $6 billion price tag on these bipartisan bills, and that's the unfortunate thing. They are bipartisan, surprisingly. What these are is they are volunteer, what they term volunteer, although many have called them mandatory volunteer programs aimed at children.
Let's expand on GIVE. It's the Generations Invigorating Volunteerism in Education. It sounds very benign. It sounds like something, of course, we'd want our kids to get involved in that. But this goes back on the campaign trail when Barack Obama was talking about how we have to have a civilian army that's equal to the strength of the U.S. military. Obama thinks that he can build up, in his community organizing mentality, a civilian army that is going to protect him and his fascist minions from what would would be the Dr. Bassos of the world and the people that want their country back. This is going to create a civil war between the taxpayers and the tax takers. It is going to set up a scenario that the White House right now is absolutely petrified over.